Some of you know this already, that I have this ongoing drama with my sister. She's been saying things for me, saying things about me for years, really painful, untrue, awful things. And I used to just avoid looking at it. I used to avoid hearing about it. I would tell my family not to tell me about it. These things were untrue, so why did like it didn't matter what she was saying, right? But in that avoidance, I didn't realize I was actually avoiding it. And about 9 months ago, she popped up on TikTok saying these things on TikTok, and her face and her voice, and she's saying them to me on my phone on TikTok. And my initial reaction was, oh my God, I have to avoid this. I have to block her. I have to not watch this. Don't talk to me about it. And I was really scared of, what are people going to think about me that hear these things that she's saying about me? I don't want to focus on that because I know it's not true. And in that avoidance, I was avoiding going into that pain of feeling all that. And when she showed up on TikTok, I was like, I'm going to go all in. Like, I'm going to watch her, see what's going on. And in pulling that back, I launched into it and I moved through a whole bunch of it. But now I'm at a point where, I mean, after you hear it, it doesn't have any more. I don't need to hear it anymore. And the stuff she talks about is not really stuff that I'm interested in. So I don't have to watch her anymore, but I kind of can't look away from her? So every once in a while, I'll block her. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder what's happening over there. And then I unblock her. And then the stupid app won't let me block her for 48 hours. So I'm in this loop. And that's exactly the cycle that we're talking about, chapters 10 through 12. That cycle of, oh my God, I want to look at this, but I don't want to look at it. And it has me stuck there for 48 hours. So, chapter 10 is stealing freedom for your soul. Chapter 11 is paying the price of freedom. And chapter 12 is taking down the walls. So this week's work isn't about fixing the story, it's about facing that ache, whatever it is, and naming the walls that we've built and knowing that we're going to be okay if we let those walls crumble. So welcome to my book club, Naked and Unafraid. We call it Naked and Unafraid because we are getting rid of all these things that don't serve us, and we are moving through the world unafraid. That's the goal, right? And every week we read again from The Untethered Soul, and I have the other book here, A Woman's Guide to Power, Unbound. And these two books are our keys to freedom. They have been my keys to freedom. And I believe that they are every woman's keys to freedom. This book is specifically for women. And the way that we run book club is that I will give you some insights into the chapters, and I will go one chapter at a time, and then I will ask you guys if you have any ahas or any questions, and we'll join the discussion then. And I'm recording this so that I can put it on YouTube, so that I can, I don't know, leave a legacy of something good out in the world. Maybe when I'm gone, my kids will discover it and they'll be like, wow, my mom, she was like really smart about this stuff. And I didn't listen to her at all when I was living in the house with her. So I don't know. That's the goal. I would like to wake everyone up in the world. And I know I can't do it by like beating them over the head. So this is my little corner of the internet. So I put it on YouTube. And if you do not want to, like me, be on YouTube, then just don't say anything and the camera will not pick you up. And I will open the chat now. And if you have something to talk about, a question that you want to bring up that you don't want to, you're not like me and want everyone to see you on YouTube, put it in the chat and we will discuss it. And if there's, I love the discussion that kind of helps us move through it. But if you don't want to talk at all, that's fine as well. All right, what else do I talk about here? That's about it. So let's get into what did we do last week? Last week were chapters 7 through 9. And let's see. I know that chapter 9 was about thorns. Okay, chapter 7. Chapter 7 was about transcending the tendency to close. So we notice when something feels uncomfortable, we notice that our heart is going to want to close, and we try and not close. And that in and of itself is impossible. So his suggestion is, instead of trying to open, we try not to close. So I have found that in just the noticing of, oh, I'm going to close, I'm going to close, that noticing helps a lot. Taking a breath helps a lot. Relaxing helps a lot. Going out into nature helps a lot. All of those things help me to try and stay open because that's the goal. Chapter 8 is called Let Go Now or Fall. And it's all about how we're going to have these struggles daily, hourly, every minute. And if we notice something that's causing us discomfort, if we let go right then when we notice, we're going to be better off. Because if we hold on to it and start working with it, we're actually keeping that thing inside. So we're going to have to eventually deal with that thing. That thing is eventually going to bubble up and try and leave. And if we notice that discomfort right away, then we can let it go right then. It's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible when you first start doing this, but it gets easier. I notice faster. I have yet to, well, maybe with stupid things I notice right away and I can let go. But definitely, I mean, anything involving my husband or my family, I cannot. It is not a let go now situation. So I fall, I get back up. Okay, can I say that again, Grace? Can I say trying not to close? Yes. So he says that it's really impossible to tell us how do we open. Like he doesn't know how to give us that direction, how to open. So instead of telling us how to open, he tells us not to close, which is the same thing. But once you're closed, how do you then get back to open? And that's why I talked about kind of like going out in nature. For me, what really works for me is if I will find it like a movie will open me. I watched a movie called, oh, I know we've all maybe seen it, that Aubrey Plaza girl. She had a really good movie called, I'm gonna have to put it in the comments because I don't remember. It's called My Big Fat Life, or my old, you guys can Google it. Google it and figure it out. Aubrey Plaza was the name of this woman, but that movie opened my heart. Sometimes you'll watch a movie that will just like boom, melt you, and then your heart's open and then you kind of go through. I use movies a lot like that to get me into a good mood. Or so he doesn't really give us anything on how do we open once we're closed. His suggestion is we just don't close. And to not close, we notice that it's happening and we let go. We relax. That's his big thing. Relax, release, feel your muscles, feel it in your body. And that's how we don't close. So I don't know if that really answers that, but that was my attempt. Okay, chapter 9 is called Removing Your Inner Thorn, and he walks us through this fantastic example of we have a thorn inside, and do we want to keep that thorn and work our whole life around keeping that thorn and keeping anything from hitting it, or do we want to just remove the thorn? And of course, Michael Singer at the Untethered Soul, he is giving us the advice to remove that thorn. And I know that we're all on the same page with that, because if we just adjust our life, if I was adjusting my life to not see my sister, she was always going to be out there. So it was like, okay, let's have at it. Like that the thorn is in here and it is painful. So instead of just keeping it all at bay, let's go. Let's see what happens with this. And that is always the right thing to do because eventually that thorn is going to come up eventually. So, why not tackle it now? So those were last week's chapters that we talked about. Did you guys have questions about last week's chapters or anything that you kind of noticed in yourself that you're working on that it's like, wow, yeah, okay, if I just this is that thorn that he's talking about. If I just let's like remove it instead of trying to avoid it. Did you guys have anything? And if you don't, that's fine.
I'm gonna take another approach and take myself off camera but talk.
Oh, awesome.
I just thought of that. Um, this theme has been up for me this week of like it's heightened this week. It's been a more ongoing thing of just how to navigate, how to just hold my keel when other people are looking at me through their own me or groups I'm in or people I'm with through their own lens that kind of seems impenetrable.
Yeah,
It's like they've got a certain set of glasses, and just knowing that anything I say is really only going to reinforce that, even if I'm trying to say the opposite.
yeah,
So I guess I'm just speaking up to reflect, you're sharing this, and that's even more public. What you're sharing is like someone's going, someone that's close to you, that's lived with you, is going publicly and saying stuff. I'm not having that heightened a thing, but it still feels pretty heightened of just
yeah.
like,
I think we all deal with that, Grace. Like there's always somebody that's looking us at us with some type of judgment, and we either sense it or we sometimes make it up. Sometimes I
oh yeah,
make up that person is judging me and they're not thinking that at all. Um, but we all deal with that. Like people are looking at us with their own thoughts and beliefs, and they are projecting all of that onto us. That's a lot. Like that's a lot. But again, like that is their stuff, right? So,
right.
yeah,
And I'm fascinated with, like obviously public figures, celebrities, politicians, they are dealing with that stuff
right?
mega. Like I don't know how I
Right?
think, oh, I couldn't do that.
Right?
But I also partially I just don't choose that as like that's not what I'm here to work on in this life. But I
Right.
do feel like there's things I could certainly learn to have more skin, but not become numb. So anyway, I'm just reflecting that what you're bringing up is hot for me this week too.
Awesome. Of course it is, right? Just how it works. All right. So let's move into this week. This week we're doing 10 through 12, and chapter 10 is called Stealing Freedom for Your Soul. And the theme is to fire our minds, retire our minds. Our minds are now off the job. And he says that our minds they are like a supercomputer, and we can give it the job of solving how to build an air conditioner or build a rocket ship so that we can all go to Mars. Or we can give it the job of I am not feeling comfortable in my skin today. I'm feeling like my husband doesn't like my hair, or I am insecure about the way that my sister's talking about me. And we can give our minds that job of solving the insecurities or the pain or the jealousy or uncomfortableness that we have just about being about in the world. And he's saying that is not our mind's job. And we've given it this job that is impossible to fix. We've told it, go figure out how, okay, mind, my sister's bothering me. Carrie, go, mind, go figure out what I can do to her so that she stops talking about me. And it's like, how, how is my mind gonna? going to come up with that? I mean, it's like an impossible job that we've given it. So we are firing our mind from all of that. I want to call it pettiness. It's not petty, but it kind of is. Like in the whole scheme of things, like it really kind of is. I mean, I'm looking out the window now and there are these trees that are growing. They grow out of the ground without anyone having to do anything about it. I mean, it needs water, but it grows like all by itself. It's phenomenal. So the fact that my sister is talking about me, like, what does it matter? So in that sense, it is really, really petty. Wow, I just felt that right now. Okay, so we've given it this impossible job, and he says that we cannot think our way to peace. And what we have to do is stop listening to it. So it's going to keep talking. It's going to keep saying, but yeah, but Carrie, if you did this, if you blocked her, if you s- did this, and I'm going to have to stop listening to it because it does not know. It has no idea. Yeah, it's very smart, but it doesn't know. Okay. That is actually all I wrote down for chapter 10. I did write down, when did your mind try to fix something for you this week? Because it happens all the time. And then what would happen? Because half the time I go off with those half-cocked ideas. What would happen if I did not? And I just kept on with like what my real purpose is, which is not having to do with what she's doing, has nothing to do with her. If I refocus myself on, wow, like, why am I really here? I'm here hopefully to grow myself and through growing myself, inspire other people's growth. And there are plenty of things I can do in that regard. And that is yeah, let's go do that, mind. Like the pettiness or the ridiculousness of whatever's going on over here. It comes up. I say, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I notice that makes me uncomfortable. And I'm just not going to go with that right now. I'm going to go do something over here because that is why I'm here and is so much more important. And if I can't do any of that, I'm going to go outside and stick my feet in the ground. I'm going to go hug a tree, which I have become a tree hugger. I had no idea that was actually a thing, but it is. I look up at the sky. I remember that I'm just a speck and I'm here for just like a blip of a moment. And that grounds me sometimes when I can remember. Sometimes I can't. That is all I had for chapter 10, ladies. Did you guys have anything? All right, let's move on to chapter 11, which is pain, the price of freedom. And the theme is we feel it or we stay stuck. So there's that pain. We're trying to avoid that pain. We know that change is going to be painful and it's not going to feel good. And so we avoid, we avoid, we avoid. We're never going to get anywhere when we do that. We just need to feel the pain and move through it. And this is not the pain of like, being burned in actual fire. It's not the pain of your arm being chewed off by a lion. It is just the pain and that discomfort of, oh, what are people going to think of me? Like, okay, I can move through that. I can do that. It's not comfortable, but I'm not going to die. I like coming back to that too. I'm not going to die. It's not going to kill me what other people are thinking about me. And he also says in this chapter that the pain is never, ever, ever coming from outside. It is really not like I might think that my sister talking is like she is creating the pain, but she is not. She is talking and it is hitting something in me that is trying to be released. So I have this fear of what people think about me, and it's hitting that, and that is trying to be released. So if I can sit in that discomfort, I can actually see that what she's giving me is a gift. She is like giving this barb to me, and it is hitting me, and it is activating that thing, and that thing is trying to leave. And that is absolutely what our bodies are trying to do. So our physical body, if there's something wrong with it, we get like a pain in our finger or a pain on our toe. There's something in our body that signifies to us there's something wrong with this physical thing. And our brain does the same thing. Like it's the same exact thing. We have fear, we feel some kind of discomfort. It's signifying that there's something in here that needs to purify and move through and move on. And what we do is we go, no, I can't deal with that. I can't handle it. And that's never going to let it go. That thing is still going to be there 20 years later. So if instead we can say, okay, here's that thing again. I'm going to relax through it. I'm going to relax. I'm going to feel into my body. I'm going to feel the breath come into my nose and go out my mouth. I'm going to feel into my belly and whatever. I'm just going to come back to my body and feel it. And what starts to happen is that you'll get like this pain in your chest. You'll get like a burning in your heart. And people refer to that as the fire of yoga. And I don't think anybody talks about this because like a pain in your chest is not a good thing. Like you can't, don't avoid that. And I'm not giving medical advice, but it is actually a thing when something is hit and it starts to come up and activate, you feel it in your heart. And I have come to feel that and recognize, yes, that thing's happening. I'm starting to burn a little bit of it off. And it's starting to go. And it's awesome. Like that's the best feeling ever. And then immediately when I notice it, it goes away. Then it has to get hit again in order to have it happen again. Yeah, but whatever, that was another theme of this chapter. Whatever the pain is, it's always something that we have stored and are trying to like avoid hitting again. And that's never the answer. The answer is always going straight into it, which is awesome. Like if that's the path, then okay, lady at the grocery store that's looking at me funny, that makes me feel a certain way, right? It's like, all right, bring it on. Like, yay, let's go. All right, that's all that I wrote down for chapter 11. Did you guys have anything? Is there anything you did this week to avoid pain? Or can you name a moment when you felt the heat and you just decided, okay, I'm gonna feel it, I'm gonna stay open because I'm not
So
gonna
I
die.
think it just reminded me of, I was reading this chapter about when something comes up, think about, look up the sky and, you're in, basically on planet Earth, which is part of this galaxy, which is one of the gazillion galaxies out there. How important is this problem? It just reminded me of another tip that somebody gave me a while ago. It said, if something bothers you and upsets you in the moment, ask yourself how important is it going to be 5 years from now,
Yeah,
which is kind of helps put things in perspective. That
yeah,
was interesting. But one thing that I also highlighted was, he says, if you want to be free, simply view inner pain as a temporary shift in your energy flow. Just like, wow, this is interesting. Okay, I don't know, it's just my energy is shifting in this moment.
right.
I can just sit there and watch the flow of energy, let it be where it is, let it percolate, and it would shift again. So just
Right.
not taking it too seriously.
I love both of those. I love the tip that someone gave you about let's how important is this going to be in 5 years? Because I mean literally everything I've thought about all morning is it could sum it up with that. Like how important is this going to be in 5 years? So if I keep remembering that question to ask myself, and maybe I type it out and like put it on my wall somewhere because it's just there's so many things that we go bonkers about and it's just not important. So thank you for that,
And
Fee.
yet, don't want to skip the opportunity for what you're just saying here to also feel the feelings. You know what I mean? Like the content doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But if I can in this moment release whatever that thing is in me that
right,
gets activated, then I get to do the next 5 years with less
right.
crap. And
And
I did have an experience this week of that felt like a more of a success. It didn't feel like a success, but I recognized it as one along the way,
right.
where I got really, really jammed up with a couple of friends that I've been trying to schedule. It's more than friends, they're coworkers, colleagues, whatever. We're, life working things. And just some things went haywire enough that I got really, really jammed up, which, I usually reserve for my intimate relationship.
Right, exactly.
So I actually woke up one morning all just like, and got to say to my partner, this is amazing because it isn't at all about you or me, like between us. So, you can like listen and talk me through this. And, but the thing that felt so awful is I love these people and this like all this had come up about scheduling. I mean, it sounds so ridiculous, but it's just been going on. And I didn't, I felt like, no, I can't just go and see them, which is the whole point. I want to
Right,
see them, but
right,
now we've gotten so messed up on this.
right.
And yet I was able to name stuff enough in an email and get enough validation back. That's not even how I want to say that. I did say something, I got some validation. I was like, that's enough. That's good. It's moving.
Yeah,
And so it's that thing of sticking with it enough, sticking with the but not the content. And by the time I saw them, I was so excited to see them and could hug them. And it wasn't like, oh, this thing, you know. Um, and I had this recognition of like, if that wasn't in me to get activated, then that wouldn't have been activating. It might have been a hassle or a little pain, but it wouldn't have gotten me so.
yeah.
Ugh. So
The
again, like
yeah,
welcoming it, like you're saying, like just bring it on, cashier lady.
right.
It's like these, instead of trying to keep those away, like you were saying about the thorn, it's like, oh, keep coming at me until I clear this.
Yeah,
I can't say I live this way, but I've had it point, I've had some people model it, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
right,
Why would I
right,
try and avoid this person
right.
until
What's
I, yeah.
opposite to what we're taught is just
Mm-hmm.
opposite to what we're taught.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole shift in us.
So part of it is locating it in ourselves and understanding that's where the issue is, not in a blaming way, not in a like, oh, this is my problem, my fault. I don't mean that at all,
Yeah,
but just like this is where the freedom can come.
yeah,
And of course, you can't see my screen, but I'm pointing at myself.
right. Or I know.
I'm very animated when I'm not on screen.
Awesome. Perfect.
But
And
yeah, so it's like noticing like this isn't about those other people. Those are logistics. We can take care of those. Um, but as long as this is coming up in me, then I want this. It's hard to remember it in the moment.
yeah.
But this
And
is my opportunity for freedom. Sorry, go ahead.
you touched on something else when you said that women, we tend to take blame for it, and that's what we do all the time, right? We go, oh wait, I shoved it down there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like we do all that, and the other book really helps with all of that because we learn that we should not attack ourselves. I mean, no one taught us this. No one taught us this, what we're talking about right now. Everyone taught us to control our environment, to do something outside to fix this. And so how could we possibly be to blame? So the other book really helps us a lot with not attacking ourselves as women because, and we are so professional at that. We have master's degrees, PhDs in attacking ourselves, and we need to work our way through that as well. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Grace. And then, Fee, I just wanted to come back to that thing that you said about how it's just a shift in our energy. Like it's so beautiful when you can think of it like that. And literally all these things that we talk about, like the thing you said about how important it's going to be in 5 years, anything that we can think of that's going to move us out of that. And sometimes you can sit in it and feel it, and sometimes you can't, So it's like use whatever, there's no like one thing that is the thing. It's like some things are going to be so big that I'm not going to be able to sit in it and feel it. I hope that I can. I hope I go for that, but some things I can't. So I have to use whatever else I can. And how important is this going to be in 5 years? Or looking up the sky, like all of those things are something that we can use to help us and looking at it's a shift in our energy. It's a temporary shift in our energy, and it feels weird. Of course it feels weird. We're the ones living it. So give ourselves a little humility for it feels weird. And again, relaxing, feeling into your belly, whatever it is that you can feel in your body. um I mean, he says relax. And then I've also, as the other book helps a lot with this too, is just, feeling into your whole body, which is something that I think women don't tend to do. We're not really taught how to do that. I think they're doing a much better job now of doing it, but women our age, we weren't taught to do any of that. So I think that now we can kind of, hopefully catch up a little bit because when he says relax, that I think is what he's doing. He says, relax, release. He's releasing his muscles. For me, I have to focus on a specific body part. Okay, I'm thinking about my wrist. Okay, can I feel it? Like, can I put my attention to my wrist and feel into it and let that relax? That helps me as well. Okay, that was chapter 11. Let us move on to chapter 12, which is called Taking Down the Walls. And this chapter, he has this entire elaborate story about how there's a plot of land that he has, and this kind of goes back to his own story because he went out and bought a plot of land in outside of Gainesville because he wanted to get away from the world, and he was trying to like get away from dogs that are barking, but yet, he ended up wherever is in Gainesville, and there were still noises. Like it wasn't dogs anymore, but it was crickets, like whatever it is, like it doesn't go away. So you can't. So anyway, buy a plot of land, build a beautiful house, build it so that it keeps the air out. Then, you have shutters, you close the shutters. They are then keeping the heat out, the light out. You're then self-sufficient within this house. He says you've built a house that has a separate quarters for somebody that's going to help you keep it clean. You don't really interact with them because you are like living your own life, writing and reading, and you've kept all the light out, and then you realize, uh-oh, I don't have enough light bulbs. They're going to burn out at some point, and then they do, and then you're in the darkness, and then you kind of get used to that. And then this housekeeper person that you're living with discovers these rechargeable flashlights that you just have to shake and they recharge, and then all of a sudden you light inside the house, and now you form a relationship with the housemate, and now you're that's causing you to have this joy and excitement. And then one day you reach over it and find this book that you had, and you read it, and it's about how all the light is already there and it's shining all the time, and you just can't relate to this at all because now you're sitting in a dark house that you've gotten used to, and you have these flashlights, and you've just kind of closed yourself off. And as I was reading that yesterday, I was thinking about how I kind of have closed myself off from life. I'm sitting in my own closet, and I kind of like retreated and, got comfortable in whatever walls I could survive in comfortably, where I didn't have to feel the pain. And that we know is never going to be the answer, but also like the joy and wonder and beauty of life is outside the walls of that house that you've built and that you've closed up, and now you're doing everything you can to like create joy within this little thing. But if we get out, we will be in this field that has sunlight and moonlight, and it's all already there. We've just closed ourselves inside this house. And it was a really nice big analogy that he told. And he talks about how you're trying to create joy by, fixing up this one room or having this one little inner play with interchange. Intercourse comes to mind, but you're having like whatever kind of relationship you're having with this one person, and you're looking at that to be the joy that lights you up. Whereas if you don't have to create these little experiences within this house, like it's all there, and we just can't see it because we're stuck in this house. So that is a very, very big analogy that if you haven't read, you should go read because it's kind of profound. And I wrote down that we built a house out of our thoughts and our fear, and then we forgot that the light was outside. So whatever I was scared of, I shut out. But if I can move through whatever I'm scared of, I can get to that light that is outside, that's always there, that's naturally there, that's flowing within me anyway. And I wrote down that you don't need to add enlightenment, you need to let it in. And he mentions the word enlightenment kind of towards the end of the chapter, and he says that we don't, we're all kind of going for this. We think we're kind of going for this enlightenment thing, but none of us really know what it even means. We just know we know what it doesn't mean because we've been doing it. So, but that's what happens, he says, when you let the walls crumble, you open the windows, you move towards the pain instead of keeping ourselves locked in the pain. And I also like to think about, when we think about what's happening in our brains, what's happening in our minds, I like to think of this house analogy as this thing that I've built, this model that I've built in my head that I'm trying to control the world in. And it's just a model that I've built in my head based on all of the things that I've experienced. My mom did this, my dad did this, my brother did this, my sister did this, my high school boyfriend did this, I got to college, that happened. All these things that happened that I then adjusted my model, and now I'm trying to keep this model in place. And if I just whenever I'm going to my brain and asking it to do something, it's looking at that model, and it's using that model to try and figure out, well, what if I had completely different experiences? I mean, the experiences that I had built my model, and the experiences that everybody else had built their model. It's like this total, I mean, when you start to think about it, it's like a complete house of cards. I mean, it's a house of cards that we've built there, and then we're asking it to come up with some solution. It's ridiculousness. And then I have to say, Carrie, it's okay. It's okay that I did that. Nobody told me not to do that. It's what everybody else did. It's all right that I did it. Now that I see that I did it, okay, like let's open the windows. Let's knock down some walls, not all at once, but let, let's get rid of it. All right, that's all I have for chapter 12. Is there a light that we are not letting in? And I know that we have the courage to let that light in. And I know that we're not going to die. So, is there anything from this chapter that you guys hit you like a ton of bricks? And what are you tempted to block this week? I'm going to leave you with that. And where can you just kind of try and feel it and realize, oh, wow, there's something happening. It's not comfortable. I'm looking at my brain to fix it. Okay, I'm listening to all these solutions that it has, but I'm not going to go with that. I'm just going to relax, feel it in my body and try and move through it. Yes, Grace, do you have something?
Yeah. Um, so I feel like what comes to me, and it's been coming a lot this week, is this not great feeling of just recognizing that we're all walking around with these models that are like knocking each other around. You hurt my model,
Right.
you know.
All of us.
And then I'm balancing that with just leaning into the power of recognizing that it's a model. Do you know what I mean? Like there is something of just recognizing that's not me. I don't have to defend that. That's a
Right.
model.
Right.
So I'm feeling both things. The sadness of watching myself and people walk around bumping our models into each other and like kind of an, is that all there is? You know, it's depressing to me. Um, but just leaning into, but at least I know for myself,
Right.
at least periodically, you know, that this is a model and I don't have to do anything with it. Like it's just so just focus on my own freedom. And then when I do that, like when I don't let something ricochet with a partner or a friend and I can just let it go, it does open up more freedom for the other person as well. Like there's
Yeah.
just a free space. They can take it or not, right? Like they can move into that space or not. And it's nice to have some people in your life that can just go, oh yeah, okay, let's just let the light in, you know?
Yeah. I feel that so deeply because we are all just a product of our own model. And if you look and see what's happening out in the world and you bump into people that have a completely different model than you have, it is depressing to feel like we're just interacting with that bullshit that somehow something happened to that person, you know, that was different from what happened to me. And they have this that they are defending till their death. And I have this that I'm trying to defend till my death. And, like, we're not even interacting like human beings. I talk about stuff on my Facebook page that is controversial, and I try and have like open conversations with people because my model could be wrong. I just had this experience, and there are things that I feel are true and valid and shouldn't be happening in the world, but my model could be wrong. I want to have a real conversation with somebody that is able to, instead of just yell back at me what they think their thing is, and then our things just hit each other and I want to have a real conversation about, well, why do you feel that way? Like, let's have an open discussion. I get so much out of those. I get triggered, I get riled up, and then I settle down. Like a lot happens in me when I have those discussions. Um, but yeah, it's sad if you think about it and you look at all the people that are just having that discourse of, yes, this person sucks. Oh, but that person sucks. Like it's so like, how could that cannot be our humanity, what we're supposed to be doing here. Like it just can't be. So then I get a lot of comfort thinking about it's just the model. Like it's just something happened to that person. And that's why they're so strongly holding on to it. And that's why they can't let it go. And I mean, I hope that that person starts to open up as well. I hope that they have some kind of spiritual awakening that like breaks their model in the middle of the night and they wake up as a completely new free person. I do wish that on a few people in our world right now. which I think is awesome. Did you guys have anything else about these chapters?
Just funny thing, when I read the title, I could hear Ronald Reagan saying, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down those walls.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good, Fee. I'm gonna have to look at that. I'm gonna have to review that when we get off of here because it's really nice to have another like political something in history that's not something that's happening right now because none of us can like see through it or hear. We're so caught up in what our own little thing is about what's happening right now. So yeah, Reagan and Gorbachev and Russia and yeah, tear down the walls. Like what? Yeah. So good. Thank
So
you.
from what you said, I'm thinking instead of, at night saying, good night, sweet dreams, say, may your bottle break in the middle of the night and you awaken a free being.
It's so good. Yeah, I do that. And then I do a little, I mean, I don't do this every night. I don't do it all the time, but when I'm particularly aggravated, I have this kind of like, I wish that certain people would have a spiritual awakening in the middle of the night and they would wake up as a completely different person. I wish that on a few of our leaders or titans of industry. I wish that on them right now. And then sometimes I also go, and may the women that are in their lives have a similar awakening and they start to influence these men. The men are in power. So, because I think they have a lot of, I think they have influence that they're not using. And like, wouldn't that be awesome? So those are my two like go-tos when the world is just like everything's crashing down and nothing is working and I can't really seem to influence anything myself. Those are my go-tos. Oh, it's so interesting right now what we're living through. It's just fascinating, right? Yeah, but we're all smiling here together, like working on ourselves, and that is exactly why I'm doing this. So I am very grateful and thankful to you ladies for being with me here today, for reading the books, for taking yourselves on. And if we don't have anything further, I'm going to wrap it up and I'll see you next week. Any last minute things you want to leave us with?
Thank you so much. It's always great to read a book with somebody else and kind of get different nuggets from different perspectives.
I agree. It's the best, Fee, like the best. Thank you. All right. I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Take care. Bye bye.